Welcome to another edition of our footy club tour. And being though it's Magic Round, I thought we'd do one up in Brizzy and none other than my good little mate, Adam Reynolds. How you going, mate?
Good, Woodsy. Good to see you up in here, Brisbane, Vegas, mate.
Your new home.
New home. Love it. Look at it. Look at the city out there. It's
Mate, who would have
view.
thought a New South Welshman would love it up here in Brizzy, eh?
Yeah, I know. Well, the plan was to always move up into Queensland at some stage after the career, but didn't think it'd sort of be like this while still playing. So, yeah, I've found it good. Family love it up here. Sunshine's pretty good too.
It's not bad, eh? Like coming here.
Good weather.
You know, Sydney at the moment, it's pelting down rain. It's freezing.
Yeah, I know.
Come
It's
up
freezing here too. 25, 26 degrees.
And they reckon this is the cold part of Brizzy, eh?
Yeah, this is freezing for us this time of year. Usually got jumpers on this time of year, but
Yeah.
no, it's good, mate. People up here are lovely. Just not around Origin time.
No, it's the old two heads come out, don't they? Look,
Come from
peanut,
everywhere.
there's a peanut outside the studio with the freaking Queensland jersey on already. Marto. No, but anyway, mate. Obviously the way we met was a long time ago. A lot of people don't believe me. We played local juniors together, didn't we?
Sure did, mate. I used to take you under my wing.
Did you
Little
what?
fella back then.
I was a great blower.
Yeah, still bigger than me. But no, it was good. Obviously, I'd played a couple of years in the South Comp. Yeah, club folded there. My next door neighbour was actually a coach for my brother's team at Leichhardt Juniors.
Yep,
So I followed suit, come across. That's where I met you.
that's it.
A couple of other boys that have made the journey into the NRL.
There's a few, wasn't there?
Yeah, loved my time there. It was a great club. Loved obviously playing the games. Canteen was fantastic, and then obviously on the water there after games, staying around for the A grade. Some good memories.
It was good fun, eh? It used to be a bit cold on the weekends. How did you get back into the South system?
Well, I went from juniors to the Wanderers.
Yep.
I remember our age group sort of folded, collapsed. So yeah, obviously went across there, met Nathan Peets. Another good mate of ours.
One of the greats.
But no, had 1 year there. Really loved that club too. Then obviously came back to the South Comp under 13s. Purely based on just juniors, wanted to play, through the system there.
Yep.
Junior Bunnies have got a great system, 13s, 14s, 15s. And then he transitioned into Harold Matts, SG Ball. So yeah, and then obviously school life was over there. So
Matraville, wasn't it?
Matraville
Yep.
Sports High.
You won it, didn't you?
Yeah, we won the Arrive Live Cup,
Yeah.
Uni Shield, Waratah Shield. Had a pretty good side that year. So
Oh, did you? Yeah.
a great year there, and obviously that had the pathway there into the NRL.
So, were you a South fan growing up?
I was actually a Tigers fan.
Oh, really?
For a little bit, yeah.
Yep.
South got kicked out of the comp
Yeah, they did. Yep.
for a couple of years there, and I had a soft spot for the Tigers.
Yep.
My family was sort of dirty at the time, but
Yeah.
obviously being a young fella and not having a team to support was pretty tough. So,
Yep.
followed the Tigers. And then obviously when South come back in, had a soft spot for both sides. So, loved, Benji Marshall as a kid.
Mhm.
Obviously he was coming through at a young age there and always idolised him. So, there was always a soft spot for the Tigers.
And then, so obviously you've come through the ranks, like you said. You did the school footy at Matraville Sports, that's a South Sydney school, is it?
Yep.
They used to
South
send-
Sydney and Roosters.
Yep. So was Petey there with you as well?
Yeah, he come
So you
across.
just couldn't shake him off.
Well, I brought him across from the Wanderers. So
yep.
he joined me at La Perouse
Yeah,
from there. We played 4 or 5 years together, and I moved on to another club, so I got around. He stuck solid.
Before we go, how did you put up with his whinging? Like, he's just a serial whinger.
Mate, absolute punish. And he done his thing with his hands all the time. He always had dry hands.
Oh,
so he'd never,
mate.
shake your hand or anything. It was real weird.
Oh, so he had the OCD, just wouldn't do it.
real bad OCD.
Oh, wow.
Real bad OCD. And then, we become really good mates over that time, obviously at school.
Yep.
He joined... No, he didn't go to Matraville.
Where did
He
you go?
played at Lapa, sorry.
Oh, Lapa,
Played at
sorry,
Perouse, yeah. Didn't go to school, but obviously introduced him to all schoolmates there.
Yep.
Who played for La Perouse, and he become really good close mates with them and started hanging out on weekends and whatnot, and up to mischief.
And then obviously you come through the SG Ball, the 20s. Your 20s side was quite, you had a lot of first graders. Jason Clark was in that as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, Jason Clark, Nathan Peets was in there.
Was Petty born there?
Yeah, he was a year or two before me.
Yep.
Junior Vivai at the time, he was a gun.
Yeah, he was a gun.
Killed it.
Yeah.
A lot of these fellas who were, fringe first graders in
Yep.
the 20s. So we had a really good season. That year, I think we got fumbled out in the first round of semis, and then the year after we made the GF against the Warriors.
And so when you're doing that, right, was the coach John Ling at the time at South Sydney?
Yeah, John Lang was first grade coach.
Yep.
Jason Taylor before that.
Yep. Did you happen to do any stuff with first grade during that period, like pre-seasons?
I did a little bit of training here and there.
Yep.
Back and forth. I'd signed a first grade contract, but didn't really train with first grade at that time. I remember we had a few injuries. 2009, my first or second year of 20s. I remember having the conversation to one of the coaches there, and he's pretty much saying that I was close to playing first grade in 2009.
Yep.
Fortunate enough for me, I didn't. I broke my thumb. Never really got the opportunity, so it's sort of a blessing in disguise.
You reckon you weren't ready that period?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I would have been 75, 76 kilos.
Oh.
Meant to be playing the Warriors that week too.
Oh, that was back when they were monstrous.
Craig Wing had done his shoulder. Isaac was coming off the bench, and then he got promoted to starter. So there was going to be a bench spot there. But look, lucky enough for me, I probably would have been chewed up, spat out, and would have had a different future. But all things happen for a reason. And grateful for that 20s side. I think I developed a lot under Daniel Irvine and Kitty.
Oh,
They were our two coaches. Had a fantastic, development through them, and that pretty much prepared me for what was to come.
And then, so obviously, was your first pre-season with first grade under Madge?
No, it was John Lang.
So, obviously, you got Langy's pre-seasons, and then you hear of Madge. What's the differences between both of those two?
Oh, geez.
Because everything I hear about Madge, it's something I'd never want to do in my life.
0 to 100, but
in
saying that, that's what the club needed.
Yeah.
We had all these sort of stars, Roy Satasi, Michael Crocker, G.I. just signed on, John Sutton, Chrissy Sandow was there at the time. He obviously moved on. But had all these sort of stars where the making of the team was there.
Yeah.
Just needed to get that hard edge.
Yeah.
John Lang was a good coach, done a lot of great things for the club, but I think the mentality of the actual hard work, hard training, preparing every week like it was a grand final is what the club needed. And, my first pre-season under Madge, I came off a ACL reconstruction. So lucky I got to build up in the gym for, 8-9 months prior to him getting there. And then obviously work on my fitness. We did these 3K time trials up Sydney Park, which was relentless.
Is that a Tempe there?
Yeah, near Tempe.
Yeah.
Yep. So we did them every Monday or Tuesday morning.
Wow.
We'd have these back-to-back sessions, wrestle sessions, film sessions.
Mate, I like speaking to blokes at Tigers, Luke Brooks and that, they reckon they had a week that was called WrestleMania Week.
Yeah, Wrestle Week, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, good fun that week.
Not real good for the little blokes like yourself. Like, it's okay for us because we're used to it in the middle, but how did you get through it?
Well, I was wrestling blokes like Fatuli Talanoa, Greg Inglis, Dave Taylor, Colin Best one year.
And he's a monster.
Yeah, big boys. So it sort of welcomed me to first grade. Got me introduced to the contact and the physicality of what first grade was all about. And you obviously learn a hell of a lot. There's nowhere to hide in those rooms, and you're front and center, and you've got to do the best you can. And if you don't do the best you can, you
shoot up and spat out.
See you later. So it was a interesting time for me. I was obviously a smaller fella. Didn't like the wrestle at all. But learned to love it over those years where Madge was, putting you in those situations.
What about when you first walk into, obviously, the change rooms? Like mate, some of the names you've mentioned, you got GI that came, you got Crocker, you've got, blokes like John Sutton, who's club legend, played the most games at the club, Isaac Luke. Was Craig Wing still there, or did he?
No,
he just moved on, didn't he?
Yeah.
What are you thinking, going into that room? Are you thinking, I know you're a cheeky little bloke, you like to have a good time, but are you a bit nervous when you're sort of surrounded by so many superstars?
Yes and no. I was pretty lucky enough that Isaac took me under his wing when I was in the 20s, so he used to live in Redfern.
Oh, okay.
And our partners became really close friends, so I used to hang out with Isaac a fair bit whilst I was in the 20s, so I had that sort of connection where I knew someone, or I knew him well enough to go and hang out, talk to him, or just have that open dialogue where when you're fresh, you start out, you don't really know anyone.
Yep.
I'd spent a little bit of time knowing Sutto. I knew Nathan Merritt. So a couple of these fellas I already knew going into the squad, which made me really comfortable. Probably the year I had the ACL injury got me really comfortable. I got to spend, time in rehab.
Was that 2010?
2011. So I got to spend time in rehab with, GI, Michael Crocker, Roy Satasi, train with these fellas.
The Croc. I love him.
Yeah, he almost killed me one day in on the on the.
He's
on the
that's like people don't understand it. I don't think he has like a pain threshold in his head.
No. Well, if he didn't spew after a session, he hadn't trained hard enough.
Really?
Yeah. And this was on the watt bike. You know how hard the watt bike
mate.
is. I was barely pushing 80 kilos, and he's expecting me to keep up with him. You know, he's played 200 and something games,
and he's known for how fit and mentally tough he is.
Animal. Oh. So the cadence on the watt bike, you have to keep above 110 or whatever it was. On level 8, I'm on level 4 or something. And I still couldn't keep up, and I'm hurting, and he's making himself spew. He's getting back on. Mate, just an animal. The way he approached, you know, how he went about it is how he played.
Yeah.
But then obviously the professionalism side of Roy Asatasi, his stretching routine, everything he did by his diet, everything was just spot on. So I got to learn, you know, sort of the background of the NRL players as well.
Yep.
Which obviously, you know, helped me in those early years.
Talk to us about when you find out you're going to make your debut. Who rings you, and how do you how does Adam Reynolds like sit back and think about, wow, I'm actually going to make my debut?
Yeah, it was a funny scenario, that whole lead up, really. Chris Sando had obviously moved on to Parramatta.
Yep.
So there was a spot there, and I remember South didn't really sign another halfback. Ryan Card come across from, I'm not too sure, Cronulla or somewhere.
Yep. He's assistant coach at Dragons now too, I think.
Yep. So it was just me and him, and we were just fighting out all pre-season, you know, pushing each other right to the limit because we knew there was a jersey up for grabs. So I'd sort of got the nod ahead to go in the trials.
Yep.
Thought I played okay in the trials, but you never know until you actually get called upon. I remember walking past Madge in the hallway probably a week or two before round 1, and he sort of just pulled me aside and said, "Hey, little fella, going to go with you in first grade. Believe in you." Yeah. Gave me simple, clear instructions, which really helped me. Yep. You know, make your tackles, kick the corners, you know, have good energy, all that sort of stuff. And it was just real simple.
Yep.
Get the team around the park, and thought I, you know, really tried to just do that for the first 5-6 weeks. And it was just, obviously a great moment to be called upon. And know that you're going to, you know, fulfill your dream.
Did you ever, like, because, you know, now you see all the things on social media, players get jerseys of certain, you know, types of players from the club or from history. Did you get any for your jersey presentation?
Yeah, Craig Coleman.
Oh, wow, Tugger.
So Tugger coached me in the SG ball.
Oh, how special is that?
Yeah, unreal. I love Tugger. Obviously done a lot of great things for that club. Yeah. And, it's sort of a surreal moment getting him in. Obviously, I'd spent a fair bit of time with him at SG ball, him being the coach there, and working on a really good relationship. So to get it off him, probably didn't want to get it off anyone else, to be honest.
Fair enough,
former 7 at the club, and someone who's done so many great things for the club. So, it was an honour to obviously receive the jersey off him. And
what about when you got to, so you're a halfback, you're making debut, you've got to tell the likes of, like I said, we spoke about Crocker, you know, your Pettyborns, Dave Taylor, and then throw in Burgess. Like, how did you feel like going to that game knowing you've got to tell these blokes where to go and where to get to on the field?
No, I felt comfortable.
Yep.
They pretty much put it on me, said it's my team, you run it. We want to be told what to do, so don't be afraid to, you know, swear at us, yell at us. Get anywhere into, you know, field positions, we'll do it for you. You know, and Madge sort of backed me to do that too.
Yep.
Said it's my job to do that. And I had John Sutton alongside me, which helped me out tremendously.
Well, what about him? I spoke to Anthony Seabold, who's coaching us at Manly at the moment. He reckons Sutto is one of the top. He's in his top 3 of smartest footballers that he doesn't get a lot of credit for. Is what a lot of people don't give him, do they?
No, I don't think so. I don't think a lot of people know much about Sutto, to be honest.
He's a bit of a quiet sort of dude, isn't he? Well, it looks like that.
Yeah, a bit standoffish.
Yep.
Until you know him, he comes out. He's got a bit of a shell there, but no, a real smart footy brain. Counts numbers on the field probably better than anyone I know. For a big bloke who's got the vision, can sense where the game's going and how to change that with, you know, a bit of gameplay or influence through defence, kicking game, you know, whether take the line on. Because
he's a big body too, wasn't he?
Yeah, doesn't get anywhere near the raps he should.
Especially, he's a captain, you know, to a winning premiership in 2014.
Yeah, and the boys drew on that, you know. They respected Sutto. They the things he's done for that club, and obviously being from the area, proud Maroubra boy.
Yeah, he is, isn't he?
Well entrenched there, and it obviously means a lot to the community.
I think he's still running the blue shirt now, isn't he?
Still running the blue shirt, yeah.
Can't get him away from it, eh?
Getting old. No, he's doing a good job there, so yeah, we are.
And then, so obviously the first couple of years you just come up short. Did you make the prelim the first 2 years you played?
Yeah, made the prelim first year. Got done by the Dogs. I tore my hemi.
That's
bad
right.
in that game.
Yeah.
We're up 8-6 at the time. They sort of ran away with it.
Yep.
Good learning curve throughout that season. Obviously, we're a team that hadn't played semi-finals for a few years. Sort of learnt our DNA through that period on the Madge, how we wanted to play, our game style, those sort of things. 2014 was probably disappointing for us because we thought we were the best team in the comp that year.
Yep.
Looking back now, we probably had a better team 13 than we did 14.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we got beat by Manly. We were up 12-0
Oh, yeah, I remember that
against
actually.
Manly, and we sort of just tried to protect the lead rather than play. Looking back now, maybe a little bit of my fault. As a young fella, you get to the lead. You don't want to be too expansive and risk, playing. And you can fall into a trap of sometimes of trying to protect it too much.
Yep.
Which really hurt us. We got fumbled out there in pretty bad circumstances, up 12-0. Manly go on to dust us up there, and obviously they could have easily won the grand final.
Well, imagine what that grand final would have been, South versus Roosters.
South Roosters, yeah. Well, they actually beat us in the last round to win the minor premiership too.
Oh.
So we had an opportunity to win that late. I think Dill grounded the ball on his own leg, which may have sealed the game, may have not. But, it certainly drove us and made us a bit hungrier to go and hopefully beat them in the GF.
Do you think those experiences really helped you for basically to say where you are now? Yeah,
I think everything's a learning curve for me.
Yep.
I look at wins and losses and take what you can out of them. I'm not one to dwell on a game too much.
Mm-hmm.
Big losses like that, you either go into a shell, you hide from it, or you approach it nicely. You learn what you can from it and put in the practice next time.
Yep.
I think you need to have that approach on it, otherwise you fall behind and you can just fall back into the same trap.
And then so from that 2013, that prelim obviously against Manly up 12-0, you get bumbled out. Go on to the next preseason. He's all hungrier than ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the hardest preseasons I've ever done in my life.
And did Ben Teo just come to you that year, or was he there?
I think he was there in 13.
Yep.
In 14, though, I've never seen Teo like that before.
He was one-man wrecking ball, wasn't he?
At the back end of the season, just before the GF. I remember he got suspended for 5 or 6 weeks.
Yep.
He left, went up to the Gold Coast, really worked hard on himself, got himself fit, strong, come back to us, and in the prelim there against the Roosters, we were down 12-0.
Yep.
So I flipped the script there. From 12 months previous, we were the opposite. And then Teo came on after not playing for 5 or 6 weeks and absolutely tore the game apart. Physically, the best I've ever seen him.
Mate, I remember watching it. I think he did a tap run. He steamrolled Boyd Cordner.
Yeah.
And then I'll never forget the moment when he scored that try. I think he carried 3 blokes over the top. Mate, no one was stopping him.
Carried 2 or 3 across, celebrated like you've never seen before.
Seen the veins just coming out of his forehead.
I remember actually talking to him after that, that big celebration. He said, geez, I need to have a second or two here. He almost passed out from celebrating 2-1, the big fella. But yeah, without him that game, I don't think we probably go on to win it. Obviously, we got the likes of G.I. Burgess, Sutto, who can obviously put the cream on the top there. But the way he came on changed momentum that game.
Yeah,
was something special.
Well, before we go into the GF, through that year, was there times when you just sort of looked at go, mate, we've got a team to actually win the comp this year? Previously you said you had a better team in 13, but then in 14, obviously you do win the comp. But is there moments throughout the season that you can remember, you look back on and go, that's a turning point where we just sort of went to another gear?
Yeah, I think that was in the semi-final. It was a funny old season because we started well. We beat the Roosters, and then we lost 3 or 4 in a row and sort of fumbled our way. So the 14 season wasn't actually as good as the 13 season.
Okay.
Wasn't quite until the semis we came up against a red-hot Manly side and pretty much put 40 on them in the first half.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we went in the half-time 40-0 or close to it.
At half-time?
Half-time, yeah. This is the first semi, and I think they finished first.
Oh, okay.
First versus fourth or whatever it was, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
I remember then just looking at half-time going, geez, we've got a side here. This is special.
Yep.
It just felt like no one could come near us. It was like a wave of emotion that was getting carried through, the whole of South Sydney. Fans, the board, everyone involved was just on this level that no one was going to reach. Second half sort of fumbled out. We didn't play too well second half. Understandably up 40-0.
It's really, for people at home, it's really hard to when you're done 40-0, you know you would have the week off.
The week off, yeah.
Straight into prelim. You sort of just like, I want to get my body right, isn't it?
Just getting through to the prelim, which was, not good as a player. And we had that constant reminder, where we wanted to keep playing footy.
Yep.
So although we were happy with our performance, we still had something to work on and still didn't reach our potential. So we came up against the Roosters in a prelim.
Yep.
And they were up 12-0. This was the TO game.
Wow.
And I remember Piercy giving us the old choke sign.
Oh, really?
Love Piercy, but that really set us off,
He clocked too early.
Yeah. And the boys, I remember standing behind try line when they'd scored their second. Piercy scored an unbelievable try.
Yep.
Solo effort, 40-50 out, step GI under the post. And I remember from that moment, the boys just going, F this, like, let's do something here.
Yep.
And that's sort of the TO game where he came on, made a difference.
Mm-hmm.
We pretty much put them to bed with 20 to go.
Yeah.
And same thing happened at the back end of that game. We sort of just waiting for the GF. So we took the foot off. They scored 2 late tries. So we weren't happy again.
Yeah.
We were pleased that we're in a grand final, but we were still unfinished business. So Madge give us the old spray.
Oh, yeah.
Think we're better than what we are and all that sort of stuff, which we needed at the time.
Yeah.
And then, that GF week was just magic.
Well, talk to us about the week. Obviously, it's been so long since South. It was all the talk. Remember, I can't even remember the last time they won a premiership. They got kicked out of the comp. They're back in. How was it around the area? Because obviously you're based at Redfern.
Yeah.
And were you getting packed crowds at training at Redfern over there?
Yeah, we had an open training session, so we closed off most of the week. Obviously, all the media commitments, all the hype and the build-up was huge. But we had an open training session, and I think Redfern only holds about 5,000.
Oh, yeah.
And they would have jammed 6,000 in there.
Wow.
Like, it was full on.
Mm-hmm.
Never seen anything sort of like it. And it was just magic. The whole week was just magic. We had Kathy Freeman come in and talk to us about her moment at obviously the stadium that we'd be playing at.
Wow.
Expectations that she had on her, how she dealt with them, all that sort of stuff. So it put us at ease. We sort of...
You reckon that really helped you, all that sort of stuff?
I think so.
Yep.
I think so, yeah. I love when you hear inspirational stories from you can draw upon their experiences, and obviously going into that circumstance, you know what you're going to feel, you know what to expect, but what really matters.
Yep.
And I think that was her message throughout her talk. And obviously she had that really good moment at that stadium, and she said, "Over to you boys now.
Wow.
Your turn to go and get it done." And
was there any moments that you thought, geez, because you got the great Kathy Freeman come talk to you, you're ready, like you said, it's your moment now. Like, do you get goosebumps and think, geez, I don't want to play this game too early?
Yeah, I think you can do that.
Yep.
I think you can fall into the trap, but I think we learnt from the last 2 preliminary finals through that, and the group was similar to what we had those both years. So we still had the hurt, we still had the pain, we still, knew what was at stake. And I think we dealt with that on the night because we ran out first.
Yeah.
Obviously got to see the crowd, got to see, the emotion of everything. And the Bulldogs left us in the sheds they stayed in the shed, so they left us out in the field.
They did the old wait.
3 or 4 minutes, yeah. So we loved it.
Yep.
Got out there, smiling, how good's this? Soak it in, boys. Once the anthems and that are on, we're into it. So, sort of got the emotional side out of the game and all that sort of stuff out of the way, and then straight into it.
And another moment before we talk about the game, Isaac Luke, he gets suspended for, was it the spear tackle?
Yep.
Did he fight the charge throughout that week?
Yeah, he tried to fight the charge. He got found guilty.
So when he finds out he's been found guilty, Appy Coruscant is going to step up and play.
Yep.
Like, what's that? Does any of the leaders get to get the group together, or?
Firstly, Appy hadn't trained in 6 weeks.
Really?
Well, they got beat. The New South Wales Cup side got beat, so he'd been training with grade, but
not training.
But not training. He'd been out drinking, smoking, whatever.
Wow.
He's on pre-season. Obviously, he's thinking he's not going to train. So it was disappointing to lose Isaac. Obviously, the boys were shattered. Credit to Isaac, though. He didn't come in and kick stones. Mm-hmm. He got on with life, did his job, and didn't bring anyone down. And I think that's such an important moment in that week. You know how devastated he is. He wants to be there for the boys. The boys want him there. Mm-hmm. And to be taken away, a grand final to be taken away through something like that is extremely disappointing. But for him to have the attitude through that week, sort of, drew inspiration in the boys and sort of something we could draw back on. And then Appy gets named, and boys are pumped because Appy's a good fella. Love having him at the club.
Yeah.
He's a crafty young player himself, and it was just about getting him up to speed and trying to get him ready for the game.
Did you think because Isaac Liu was an integral part of your spine, did you think you had to probably not overplay your hand, but dominate a bit more now that you've got young Appy there?
No, I don't think so. I think we had a game style that suited either Isaac or Appy. We had a big forward pack.
Oh, massive.
We'd like to, take the juice out of teams, be real physical, have a really forward-based game.
Mm-hmm.
We could take them on, and we knew we weren't going to blow teams out of the park early on. The Manly game was a bit of a one-off, so that was unnormal for us. We'd put a lot of work into the Dogs in that first half, so we knew if we're going to get them, we're going to get them at the back end of the game. And I think Michael Ennis not playing plays a big part in that as well. Such a inspirational leader for them, drives a lot of their energy.
Yeah.
A lot of the emotion comes through him. So sort of cancelled each other out, Isaac and Mick not being there. But yeah, I think Appy was one of our best on the night.
It was a funny old game, wasn't it? Like, it wasn't much. It was sort of like forces back early on. It was only like 8-6 at half time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty physical, and I thought we'd won field position a lot in that first half. We scored an early try, which got brought back, took a lot of the emotion out of the game. I'd head-eyed Sammy Parrott.
Okay.
Which, questionable. No, it was head-eye.
Probably get 10 to win this day and age.
Yeah, I would have. But Lottie scored in the corner. I remember having a moment there, and I didn't know Sammy'd done anything to his face.
Well, I was going to ask you, like, when did you find out about that? And because it's like folklore now in grand final history.
Yeah, well, I found out after that. So there was a stop in play, and I didn't realise because both teams have been going at it for, a good period there. We had a try, so the emotion was high. Bring it back down, emotion's lost again.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling a bit flat at the time and going, geez, I'm blown out. Like, this is quick. And I remember looking over at Sammy, and he was having a conversation with the trainer about his face, and you could see it was badly broken.
It was getting worse as the game got on, didn't it?
Yeah, it was sort of indented and sort of bruised up already. And looked at him, I seen the trainer, and he said, need a lift for Sammy here.
Yep.
Pretty much straight away then, my, fatigue levels left. I was good again. I was on another level. Sammy's such an inspirational player and done a lot for that club.
Yeah.
We knew it was his last game. He was moving on to rugby union and wanted to obviously do some great things for him and send him out a winner. And that sort of, got us kick-started again in the gear.
And so, like you spoke about Madge sort of was a bit filthy on the way you finished the last two games, the first one against Manly and then the one against the Roosters.
Yeah.
This was like a complete opposite. You started off nice and tight, but then, mate, that back end of the game must be a dream come true for a grand final finish for yourself.
Yeah. Well, when you got it in the bag with 5 or 6, 7 to go, whatever it was, there's no better feeling in rugby league.
Yeah.
And that was our game plan throughout the whole year, was to, hang with teams for 50, 60 minutes, make them come with us, and then really just put the foot down and go for that last 20. And that's where we knew we could blow teams out of the park, was that last 20 minutes. And if I've ever seen a game plan come true, that's the game, We hung tough, never sort of took the foot off the pedal there, but they came back at us. They'd scored a late try through Tony Williams.
Yep.
And then from that moment on, we just clicked and went to another level.
It sort of felt like when George Burgess scores that try. There's no stopping South Sydney from that moment.
Well, that was the...
That sort of, it broke the game open, didn't it?
Yeah, that broke the game. That broke it. Man, that's such a big moment in a grand final.
For a front rower to come up with a play like that.
Yeah, bump off Tony Williams. I think he bumped off, get around the fullback and score himself. Jeez, there's not too many front rowers in our game.
I think your bloke in your team at the moment, Haas.
Yeah, Fanua Blake probably.
Fanua Blake, there's
not
Fafita back in the day, that's probably about it.
Yeah, not too many blokes who could come up with that. And we had, George and Tom just...
It was like you recycled them. One comes off, the other one goes on.
Yeah. Well, I remember looking at the stats, and, geez, I think they ran for 250 metres or something each. 30-odd tackles each. Like, Dave Tyrrell got knocked out, so they both come on, I think. Played a massive part in the game. Yeah, close to being best on ground. Both of them.
Just hurts their other brother had an even bigger game.
Yeah, I know. We had some fair plays that night.
Did
GI
you what?
as well.
GI.
Yeah, so yeah, could have went to anyone, but yeah, glad those two big fellas were on our team.
What about the moment when you get your try? Like, for me, that just shows you there's all the stars aligned. It was a nice kick, and you just get one of the great bounces under the post.
We actually game planned that through the week.
Did ya?
Yeah, we knew that Sammy Perrott would come up into the line if we sort of got him between their 3 and 4 defender. He'd sort of fill a short side.
Yep.
And this was 30, 40 metres out, and we'd game plan this all week. So we said, boys, at the back end of the game, if we're chasing or we need something, have a look for this. So that's credit to our coaching staff. They spotted that. We practiced it through the week. I didn't score it during the week. I think it was one of our back rolls. But, yeah, I got the dream bounce. As soon as I heard it, it was just like a greyhound out of the gate, just trying to chase anything. The plan was to just get a repeat set and then go again. But, yeah, that bounce and then obviously celebrating with the crowd was pretty special.
Yeah.
And we knew we'd won it at that time. The try before that pretty much sealed it up. And then
was that Kurosomi's one?
Yeah, the kick.
Yeah, how he stayed in.
Kick. Yeah, he done a great job there. Oh. And if you'd heard the story about his back throughout the whole year.
No good.
Nah, he's got the worst back.
Really?
Yeah, he'd done it a few times at training and used to always complain about his back.
Yep.
So, yeah, for him to get down that low and get the grounding makes it even more special.
Gee, wasn't he one to celebrate, mate? He used to drive me mad. He was so passionate that year, wasn't he?
Yeah. Just he's a great character, you know. He's so lovely and humble and himself off the field. Where he gets on the field, he just flicks a switch. There's those blokes that you know, and as soon as he got across that white line, he was a different beast.
Yeah.
You know, aggressive, strong, love to get in your face type of player. Yeah. But yeah, had a hell of a season.
How were the celebrations afterwards? Because obviously, Sam had to get surgery, didn't he?
Yeah, so he didn't get surgery for a day or two.
Ooh.
He wanted to celebrate with the team.
God love him.
Yeah, God love him. So yeah, we pretty much went back to South Juniors on the bus.
Yep.
Had a few celebrations at the stadium, trophy out the middle, team song, all that sort of stuff. Bus back to the juniors was unbelievable. There would have been
the community love it.
Yeah, mate, it was the best scenes I've ever seen. There was 25,000 people outside the juniors. It took us probably an hour to walk 100 metres through the crowd to get into the Leagues Club. And it was, all family, friends, you know, celebrities waiting back at the juniors for us to obviously go back there and celebrate the victory. And then obviously to go out into the balcony and get on the microphone in front of all the fans at 3 or 4 in the morning. I'm sure all the houses around were reminded. But it was unbelievable scenes. And then pretty much back to Sammy's house to ruin his joint. He had a fair joint, as you'd remember, as you'd expect. I remember just getting back there with the whole team, and it was just the whole team.
Yep.
Trophy in the middle of his lounge room, and then the grand final come. We just all sat around drinking piss, watching the GF.
There's nothing better.
Oh, the best.
Yeah.
The best. And then we had a fan day the next day at Redfern Oval, and you can imagine the boys' state by then.
Few sunglasses on.
Yeah, sunny. I think they actually had them lined up for us ready to go out there.
Too smart, the club.
Yeah, too smart. But yeah, the whole week was fantastic. We, interacted with the community a fair bit. Had an open bus going around all the schools and all that sort of stuff. Give them a look at the trophy. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Got up the Harbour Bridge.
Oh, really?
Take the trophy up there, yeah.
The whole team?
Yeah, the whole team.
Oh, unreal.
The whole team. So it was a fair week. There was a fair bit to get through during the week.
Yeah.
Town Hall, receive the keys to the city.
That's unbelievable.
All that sort of stuff. So we felt like rock stars.
Deservedly so.
Yeah, but the moment in Sammy's lounge room, probably stick with me. Blokes kissing the trophy and all that sort of stuff.
Just sitting back thinking, mate, we started this in November pre-season.
Yeah, well, we realistically started it back when the club got kicked out. You know.
Yeah.
There's an image there of the boys marching and trying to get the team fighting for the club to get back into the competition at Town Hall where we received the keys. So, you fast forward from that moment onwards.
Yeah.
All the suffering the fans had gone through, wooden spoon after wooden spoon, not being a really contender in the competition. It's obviously given them the joy. Yeah. Was amazing.
What about the next couple of years, right? You've obviously got such a strong side, but then you lose your little mate, Luke Keary, obviously to the Roosters. Is that like a dagger in the heart?
Yeah, it was hard for me because I'd come real close with.
That's what I was going to say. Like the partnership you two had together was unbelievable.
Yeah. Bit of a dust up at Rusty's. Obviously, the result of that. But
I think we've all heard about that one.
Yeah. Look, it was hard to take. Obviously, form this combination with him, won a comp with him, and you'd think your whole career is going to be played outside him, and you just lost for words when he announced he's leaving. We don't finish the season in the best way.
Yeah.
And then it's all pretty much starting all over again.
How was it for you when you first seen him in the Chooks colours? Like, because mate, it's like New South Wales versus Queensland used to.
Yeah, ugly.
Not what you want, is it?
Yeah, those white jerseys didn't suit his mud guts.
His little angry melon.
Yeah. Look, I was obviously happy for him. You want to see your mates succeed and do well and achieve great things. Obviously, it was a bit dirty that he won a couple of comps at the Roosters, but happy for him.
Yeah.
He's such a good fella, both on and off the field.
Yeah.
Competes hard, wears his heart on his sleeve, as everyone knows. He shows his emotion. But it was obviously hard at the time to take. But one door closes, another one opens. Cody Walker steps in. And I create another great combination there with him.
Well, talk to us about Cody. What is he really like? Because on the field, you just see an angry man. That is he just an ultimate competitor? What is he?
He's a competitor. Hates losing.
Yep.
Hates losing.
Is he like that at training?
He's worse at training.
Really?
Worse at training.
So you just get into arguments at training?
All the time.
Used to, yeah.
All the time.
Wow.
Things didn't go his way, or he didn't get certain things, the look that he wanted, blow up. But I give him credit for that because it holds people accountable around him. He can get the best out of players from them doing the job for the team rather than doing it for themselves.
Yep.
It obviously created a lot of success at South. Wasn't good going through the blow-ups at the time, but there's a method to his madness, and he's just a winner. He hates losing.
Yep.
So it's win at all cost, and obviously he shows that through his emotions on the field.
Like, do you think that makes the teammates more accountable? That he's like, because he'll just do anything to win. I
think so. I think you got to get a fine balance of it. So he could play the villain role there, and I could play the good cop, bad cop.
Yep.
So he'd blow up, and I'd reassure the team that everything's all right. Just relax.
Yep.
And in games, sometimes the blow-ups would go on for 2 or 3 sets, but I knew I could get him back through a simple word or two.
Yep.
I'd take over, whether we just had a few shots down that right side or played through the middle for the next 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Knew that was fine because I knew he'd come back and he'd have the dominance over that left edge again.
Yeah.
And the combination he struck up with his left edge, there's a reason why they score so many tries.
It's ridiculous.
Because they're all in the right spot because of his blow-ups.
Yeah.
If he doesn't blow up, they probably run the wrong lines. They, they're all over the place. But, they're right down to a T on that left edge.
And then talk to us about Wayne. Wayne comes to the club. I've never seen you so happy. Like, you look like like a father-son relationship, like looking outside in.
Sort of was.
Yeah.
I got a lot of respect for old people. Yep. I love hanging around old people. I love going to RSLs, having a beer with the oldies. I don't know what it is. It's just me. I'm an old soul, I think.
Yep.
But no, I'd had a little experience with Wayne in All Stars.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So I'd known him briefly through that. Didn't know too much other than that. And then when he come to the club, it was just like chalk and cheese. It was, unbelievable times, fun, happy.
Because I've never been coached by him, Adam, but mate, everyone I speak to loves him. Like, just says he's completely different to what you see.
Yeah.
Like, he just sits at the back of the bus.
He's one of the boys.
Loves the stories on Monday morning from the boys.
Yeah, wants to know. He really cares about the individuals.
Yep.
And he believes that better people create better players, which I 100% agree. If you got your off-field sorted, your on-field will come. He wanted everyone to be a good person before a good player.
Yeah.
He wants to know what you're doing on weekends. He cares about your families. He'll tell you straight out if he doesn't like you, he doesn't like you.
Really?
Yeah. And he demands that respect.
Yeah.
Which you obviously see from his players. Everyone wants to play from him because he demands it.
Yep.
You either get on the bus or you're gone. And that's something I love about him. He could have that funny laugh, joking sort of relationship with him, but when you don't do something right, he holds you accountable like no other.
Yep.
He'd spray you in front of the team. He'll never spray you publicly in a
big forum
to the
or
media,
something.
But behind closed doors, he'll let you know your place.
Okay.
And he's done that to many players over the years, and It's how you respond.
Yeah.
He gets the best out of his players because you don't want to let him down.
Oh, it's sort of similar to when I've been coached by Mal. Like, they're probably not the best tactical wise, but geez, you'd run through a brick wall for him, wouldn't you?
100%. 100%. And I think what makes him such a great coach, he's not worried about who his assistants are. He's not worried about someone taking his job.
Not threatened, yeah.
Yeah, he's not threatened. And you need that in a team environment. You need the best coaches to get success.
Yep.
Because his strengths might not be the other coaches' strengths, but their strengths might be better than his in certain areas. So they all lean on each other. They all, communicate really well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, at the end of the day, like you said, you'd run through a brick wall for these coaches.
So when you went through, obviously, your contract saga, he had nothing to do with it because he wasn't coaching.
He had everything can get me to the Broncos pretty much.
Really?
Yeah, I'd pretty much sign at the Sharks.
Yeah, well, I remember because Wade Graham, we were talking about, well, mate, we got to get this bloke here.
Yeah.
We couldn't believe you're on the market, put it that way.
Yeah. Well, I sort of told South just 2 years and I'm there.
Yep.
That's done deal. Don't care about the cash.
So it was they just didn't want to give you a 2-year deal?
Just the 1 year deal. Pretty much cut my contract in half, which I was fine with.
Yep.
But I just wanted 2 years. Knew I could get 2 years out easy. Good quality footy.
Mate,
we still had a team. We just got beaten in the grand final. And I thought the next year was probably the year to win it.
Yep. And this is all. This was at the start of the year or halfway through the year, wasn't it?
Yeah, start of the year where I pretty much announced that I'd been on the open market because they weren't happy with.
So they just want 1 year. Yep.
Yeah, and I said, look, that's okay, but I'm not signing 1 year. And I told him from the start I was never signing a 1 year deal.
Yep. And how old are you at this time, Adam?
30.
30, wouldn't you be?
What year? Yeah, 30. I think
You would have been 30, I think.
30,
yeah. Yeah.
I was 30 at the time, so maybe 29. I don't know. But yeah, I pretty much told them it was 2 years or I'm on the open market, and they didn't budge. So I was like, "Yep, sweet. I got to do what's right for my family."
100%.
1 year deal, and I get injured, I'm pretty much retiring. So for me, it was stability for the family.
Yep.
I'd had meetings with Fitzy. Really loved the direction the club was heading in. I had a lot of trust in him, and it wasn't until pretty much the Broncos came out and announced that they were interested.
Yep.
Sort of sat back a little bit there and said, "Oh, hang on a minute." Like
huge club,
massive opportunity to move away, start over again with the family, and then obviously having those conversations with Wayne.
Yeah.
The circumstances he went through at the club and how he left the club.
Yeah.
You never would have thought that through the conversations that we're having. It's a great city. The club's fantastic. There's no better place in rugby league than Brisbane. And everything he said was true. I'd had a conversation with Kevy and Dave, the CEO, and they pretty much just outlined the vision for the next couple of years and how they wanted me to be a part of the club and what direction they wanted me to go in. And from that moment onwards, it was pretty much Brisbane.
Did they get the spoon the year before you went there? Was that the year?
I think they got the spoon.
No, that was under Siebes, wasn't it?
Yeah, they got the spoon, and then they came second or third last.
Yeah.
But you'd see the potential playing against them.
Some of the talent of the kids,
You could just see it. You could feel it when you're playing in games. They'd hang in there. They just were a young side at the time.
They just needed direction.
Yeah. Well, I think they had direction. They had Tommy Dearden.
Yep.
But he was still only 19 or 20.
Kid.
Yeah, kid. To take over a club and own it at that age.
Yep.
So tough. And a lot of their older players had just moved on, so you knew they just needed a couple of old heads in there, and things would change.
Yep. And then, like for you, you spoke about your experiences, early on, being up 12-0. He hasn't had this yet, Tommy Dearden. He moves to the Cowboys. You come up there. How was it when you first get around the group? Because there's so many young kids. Like, I know now at the moment, I'm one of the oldest in the team.
Yeah, babies.
Mate, like
babies.
What you're into is completely different to what they're into, isn't it?
Yeah. Mate, I've been open with the player. They did not know rugby league at all.
Really?
At all. I remember turning up to training early. We'd sort of got beat in the grand final and leaves a sour taste losing a grand final, so you just want to get straight back into it.
Yep.
I remember having a month in Hamilton Island with the family. We'd bought a house and couldn't get into...
Oh, you had to wait, Change over, yep.
Long settlement or whatever it was. So I was just chomping at the bit to get back to training.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to my miss, I've had enough. I've got to get back in.
Yep.
New club. I want to get familiar with the boys. I want to show them that I care. I'm not happy with my career so far. I want to go on and do more things. So I went back early, and I remember jumping in a few sessions and just trying to get me front roles to lay, a 3 and 4 man.
They didn't know?
and they were sort of asking the question, why would we do that? Like,
Really?
yeah, what are we looking for here? And I was glad that they were asking those questions, because
Yep.
if they didn't ask those questions, they didn't know
Yeah.
what was next. So for me, it was about trying to upskill those players, what to look for, and then obviously coming up with a game plan with Kev, sitting down and working out, all right, what sort of team we got, where's our strengths, where's our weaknesses, how do we, create that game plan where it's going to work best for that team.
Yeah.
And that was probably the easiest thing to do. Powerful forwards, powerful outside backs, just about getting them space, creating space for them boys.
Yeah. You said that with, like they said, why are we going to play to 3 and 4 man?
Yep.
Was that something that you realised why they weren't winning those games? Because they were sort of just playing each play on its merit. They weren't thinking about the long game?
Yes and no. I think the talent was keeping them in a lot of games.
Yep.
Like, they got freakish players that could just beat players one-on-one, score tries. Tony Staggs could score from 20 metres out.
Unbelievable.
Dave Fafita was there at the time, and he was creating havoc. Payne Haas, Paddy Carrigan, these boys. Tessie Neal was playing great at fullback. So you knew that the potential was there. It was just trying to upskill them and trying to move pieces in the defensive line. We want middles to travel down short sides. We want them to, overcompensate certain areas. We want to play short sides because we're fast, we're powerful, we're strong. So just trying to give them 2 points of attack rather than just having a setup for one play.
One big play and that's it.
So just trying to get them to learn that side of things, always be a threat both sides of the park. Yeah, it was pretty eye-opening at the time that a lot of the players sort of didn't understand or, just already have that skill.
Yeah. Well, before we get into all the Brisbane, your last game at South, the grand final, is that a sour taste, the way you left that club? Like, not the way you left, but the way you sort of had to go out?
I wouldn't say sour. It's definitely a learning.
Have you watched it again, the game?
Yeah, I've watched it.
Yeah.
Look, there's moments in that game where we were under the pump for, 40, 50 minutes.
You did so well.
To be in that game and have a chance is something that I'm still proud of.
Yep.
Obviously, not proud of the outcome, but we had our moments.
And it's also done without one of your best players too,
A lot of people forget that.
Yeah.
That we were without Latrell for, the semis, the grand final. We had young Blake Taff, who'd only played a handful of games, do a great job at fullback for us. We were pretty busted too.
Didn't you lose Arrow in the first 10 minutes as well?
I think he got knocked out.
Yeah, he got knocked out and he was playing enormous lead into that.
Yeah, so we hung in there. We fought right to the death. And look, we still could have won the game. I had a goal kick from the sideline to even it up. Had a shot right on full time, 2-point field goal, which fell short.
Just short,
which hurts. But yeah, it was obviously disappointing that a club that I'd loved and wanted to do great things for.
Yep.
I'd already won a grand final, but I wanted that group to win a grand final.
Yep.
I'd spent probably more time with that group than I did with the other group that won the grand final. So to obviously lose and not get another shot with that group, that's probably the hardest thing.
Yeah.
Losing the grand final wasn't the hardest thing to take out of that. It was probably never getting a chance again to play with that group.
Yeah, that's probably the sour taste in the mouth, isn't it? Like you don't get the redemption. Would have been awesome to go out on a high, but still, what you've achieved at that club, you achieved at that club was unbelievable.
Yeah, it would have been unreal. But still proud of everything I've done at that club. A lot of great memories there, a lot of great friendships that still remain, and reunion this year, which will be fun as well.
I remember like just seeing you for the first time in a Brisbane Broncos jersey, just like, mate, it just doesn't look right. Like this is a
I actually liked it, eh?
Did ya?
Yeah.
It's like, this is a South Sydney legend. Like it's one of those things, but then now I can't remember seeing you in a South jersey.
I had this conversation with a supporter the other day, actually.
Yeah.
They said, every time they like see me in a South jersey, it looks weird.
It does, mate.
Yeah.
You suit the Broncos jersey like to a T now.
A good story. So when I signed with the Bronx, Kev and Dave, the CEO, they left me a jersey, a number 7 jersey.
Yeah.
And they said, this was before I signed, just see yourself in a Broncos jersey before anything.
Yep.
Don't, make an assumption or don't think that we're pressuring you into, we actually believe in you. We want to, go further with you with this. and left me with a number 7 Broncos jersey. And it sat in my cupboard I'd signed.
Yep.
And
Hadn't touched it?
Hadn't touched it. I remember looking at it when they give it to me and I thought, geez, such a big club. And I remember playing against them on a number of times and just seeing them walk into the stadium as a group and you go, geez, this is a club. And then I left that in my cupboard for ages. And I'd packed up and moved through COVID to the Gold Coast. So I thought I'd lost the jersey.
Oh, wow.
So we got the whole house packed up. We didn't go back to Sydney, obviously.
Yep. Well, that was the COVID, yeah.
Yeah. Got all my stuff shipped up to National Storage and had it in the locker there. And I remember coming back from Hamilton Island and I'm just searching through all my stuff. And the first thing was on top of one of me, I think it was my Broncos jersey. And I thought, geez, I'll give this a crack. I'll try it on. And from the moment I put it on, it just felt like home.
Yep.
I don't know why. I remember doing a shoot at Suncorp Stadium where I had the thing, and they said, "Oh, what's it like to put the Broncos jersey on for the first time?" I thought, I've already put this on. Like, I already know what it feels like. I know how special this is.
Yeah.
But yeah, awesome feeling. So good.
And then the other one I want to know, so you've been at South Sydney, right? You've got the Roosters that are down the road. You know, there's all teams in Sydney. How is the difference with a one-town club? Because everywhere you go up here, like, you know, Sydney, like you got people from, you know, say the beaches, south, like from eastern suburb, but they still go for Parramatta.
It is
here.
Huge.
It's just everywhere you go, Broncos this, Broncos that.
It is huge.
Yep.
Until you're actually involved and entrenched in the club, you don't understand the magnitude of the Brisbane Broncos.
Yep.
I thought South was a big club.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we were getting 30, 40 people at a training session at South. We get anywhere from 250 to 1,000 at a session.
Wow.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. School holidays, you cannot move.
Really?
At sessions, yeah.
Wow.
Like they barricade the sidelines. There's people lining the street to watch us. You go anywhere in Brisbane, everyone knows who you are.
Yep.
It's the closest thing, obviously, to a rock star.
Really?
Lucky enough to be over and watch a few of the NFL games and see how their players are treated, and that's how our players are treated in Brisbane.
Yeah.
Can be good, can be bad.
Yeah.
Like all things, but I've never seen anything like it. The way they get behind the club's amazing.
So you've been at like Broncos for a couple of years. You just get the opportunity to sign Reece Walsh back.
Yep.
Like this, you just spoke about rock stars. Is this kid the best young player you've ever seen?
Yeah, hands down.
Yeah.
Hands down.
But what makes him so good? Like, because we only see what he does on the weekends.
Yep.
How is he throughout the week? And I've heard all these stories. He's like the Bieber of rugby league. Does he just get hammered?
He gets hammered, but he's loved by
a
lot of people. I'm lucky enough I get to spend pretty much every day with him.
Yep.
I see how hard he works on his own game. He watches a hell of a lot of video. He's always sending me texts on different things. How do I do this? How do I do that?
So he's a footy nut?
He's a nut. He'll pretty much watch every game.
Wow.
Every weekend. Try and, break teams down. Come up with new plays. That sort of stuff. Like, it's unbelievable.
Yep.
The amount of work for, 20, 21-year-old to be thinking like that already.
Yep.
He's a competitor. Hates losing. He's always back chatting. He's always, chirpy. But then you see him with fans. He's humble. He's got time for them. He's a young father. His girl means the world to him. She's a beautiful young kid. She's, a big reason why he's doing what he's doing. And, just a good human being.
Well, for me as a you can see he's grown because remember he used to back chat a fair bit, but like you said, it's just competing.
Yeah.
Now you can sort of see he thinks about it before he says something.
Yeah. Well, he won't. I remember playing against him at the Warriors and he was a chirpy young fella.
Oh, massive. Yeah. Big time.
Big time.
Yeah.
Like before the game had even started. He's into me.
Really? So what are you doing your kicks before the game?
Yeah, he's chirping away. He's carrying on. Who's this little shit?
That's his first year, wasn't it?
Yeah, with Warriors. And I'm thinking, geez, a little smart ass. He's going to cop it in this game. But he's a tough kid, man. He backs it up too.
Yep.
But the amount of work he puts in at training, whether it's on a kicking game, getting his defence right, throwing that long ball over the top.
Yep.
Never seen anyone prepare the way he prepares at that age.
Is there times in games where you sort of go, listen, mate, like because you see with Reece, he loves the big play. He loves he's a big moments player.
Yeah.
Do you have to pull him back in the rein being the senior player?
All the time.
Does it drive you mad sometimes?
all the time.
Yeah.
Even at training, mate.
So you're like the dad. You just got to go, listen.
Yeah. And there's times where, he'll fight with other players and I've got to get in between it. So, hey, cut it out. It's because he doesn't understand the influence he has over other players.
Okay.
He's such an influential player.
Yep.
And he can do things that no other player can do. So you don't want to take the whip out of his hand the whole time. You want him to, come up with those moments. It's just about him picking and choosing the right time.
Yep.
Not overplaying his hand. There's times where he can offload when it's not on, throw that long pass when it doesn't need to be thrown. Sometimes it's just okay to take the tackle.
Yep.
And that's him learning and understanding, how influential he can be amongst the group and the influence he has over a game.
Yep.
Because it can impact the team.
Yeah.
But yeah, we certainly don't want to take what he does best away from him.
How much did last year's grand final, or if it has, impacted on your group? Because obviously you basically had one end on the trophy.
Yeah.
And then clearly has that superhuman performance in the last 18 minutes.
Yeah.
How do the boys come through the other end of that?
Yeah, it's hard. Extremely hard.
Yep.
That was harder to take, I think, than the South grand final because of the circumstance.
Yep.
Look, they're a champion team and they've done some great things, but I think we should have won that in the end.
Yeah.
We watched some video back on it, which was hard to do with Kev.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that we did that though.
Yeah.
We watched certain moments in that game where we just weren't good enough.
So he just showed, he didn't go through the whole game, just showed a few parts.
Moments, yeah.
Yep.
Pretty much the last 20 minutes.
And how did the boys, did they speak about it or just wait and listen to what Kev had to say?
Oh, we spoke about it.
Yep.
He asked the question of what we thought. Got a response out of everyone, which is good. You need to process it. You need to get over it. Because if we're in that circumstance again, we know what's required. We know what's going to work, what's not going to work. So for us, it was good too because we put it to bed.
Yep.
Stopped talking about it pretty early on. Mm-hmm. Our focus then turned to this season.
Yep.
Just trying to build every day at training.
Yep.
A well-oiled machine for the season.